Today I'm going to talk about getting started on the lap steel, which is a lot of fun, especially if you already play guitar, so it makes it kind of easy to switch over. If you already have a lap steel, that's great, you're already on the way. If you're thinking about buying one, you might want to buy a newer one rather than an old. This is an old one, this is probably 50s. I really like these. They're made by a company called Oahu. They were in Cleveland, but they pretended to be sort of Hawaiian, I guess. I guess that was their shtick. Well, there's a whole history of the lap steel you should read online. It's great. And it's a real great thing. These have pickups made by a company called Valco. Also Supro and National always use these pickups too. So these are my personal favorite pickups. You might see Ry Cooder had put one of these into a Stratocaster at one point. If you don't know who Ry Cooder is, check him out because he's one of the greatest musicians of the 20th century, give or take a few people. Anyhow, so the first thing is, what kind of lap steel do you get? Well, if you already have a new one, that's great. If you're thinking about what to buy, probably buy a newer one. These sometimes have problems. So if you just bought a new one from a major retailer, you'd probably do okay. A couple $100. These have gone up in price. These used to be a couple $100. Now they're many more $100. But so this is Oahu. I have another one here too. I'll just hold up for a minute. So the first thing to think about is what tuning to use. If you're already a guitar player, you might want to try G, because your middle strings are going to be the same as the guitar. D, G, B. And your first string is just lowered, it's a D, so it's lowered from the E. And then the fifth string is a B, and then the sixth string is a G again. So it's G, B, D, G, B, D. And that's the tuning commonly used for dobro. So if you have any experience with the dobro, that's probably the way you want to go. The next thing is, what kind of bar should I get? Well, you don't have to spend a lot of money for a bar. I think this is called a Lapdog, Lapdawg. I think they're about 25 or 30 bucks. So you can see it's kind of got two curved ends there. And when you hold it, you want to hold it just along those curves like that with your left hand. Doesn't really matter. You're going to need an amp, but if you're just going to be playing at home, you can just get like a very basic amp. I have a Katana 50 by Boss. They're great and they're pretty reasonably priced. So that's the kind of amp you could, use in a small venue. If you're already a guitar player, you probably already have a guitar amp, and that's fine. You don't need any special amp for a lap steel. So I'm saying G is a good way to go. And another thing to think about is whether you're going to use picks. David Gilmour from Pink Floyd, he plays lap steel with a flat pick. So that's what he does. Because I play dobro and pedal steel, I'm used to using finger picks, so I do that. Sometimes I play without the metal picks on my index and middle finger and just use the pick on my thumb. It's just your standard, nothing special. It's a Dunlop. Just get something that feels good on your thumb. And these are like banjo finger picks. Nothing special, but shop around, get something that works. If you're going to be playing with other instruments, it might be an advantage to have the metal picks because you'll get a little more sound out of it. Great for blues. With this tuning, you can do some country stuff, but a lot of the old school country stuff used a sixth tuning, which is another story. Probably want to start with just a straight major chord tuning like GBD, GBD, or maybe a D tuning like D, A, D, F sharp, A, D. Also, you have to be a little conscious about string gauges too when you're trying different tunings. To go from G to D isn't too hard, and I have this other lap steel tuned up in a different way that I'll demonstrate in a second here. But so once you got tuned to an open chord, you've got a G chord with all the strings open. And then if you go to the 5th fret, you've got a C chord, which is the 4 chord in the key of G. You go up 2 more frets to the 7th fret, you've got a D. So if you're familiar with the basics of music and you've played some guitar or other instruments before, you can play along with people. And want to just get the bar right over the fret, not behind the fret. So you want to kind of, you also have to listen for the pitch to make sure you're playing in tune. And when I play individual notes, I slant the bar. Instead of having the bar covering multiple strings, I'll just tip the bar up. And with my right hand, kind of have my hand like in a relaxed fist kind of you know, shape, and I also want to be aware of the notes ringing out. Sometimes you want them to be a little bit more separated, so you can do that with the bar or with your right hand. It's a way of muting. Like if you just lift the bar up, that'll stop the note. Or if you just touch the string with your pick or your finger, or either way. Also, when I play with the bar, my ring finger and little fingers are kind of dragging behind the bar, kind of always resting on the string. So all I have to do is lift the bar up, and the fingers will mute. So you're kind of muting behind the strings, behind the bar rather, and you're also muting with your right hand too. And these are just techniques that you have to develop just by listening. So there's, and you can start out by playing melodies or playing chords, whatever you feel like. Find the notes, just find the scale. If you're in this tuning, GBD, GBD, everything's like a mirror. It's like the first 3 strings and then strings 4, 5, and 6. So the riffs are the same. So things transfer from those strings. I don't play as much like in the dobro. You do a lot more open string kind of things. I tend not to want to play on the open strings. I tend to play more on the barred position. So like if I was gonna play in the key of C, I would prefer that than playing. I don't always play an open G. Just you might think, oh well, the instrument's tuned to G, so it really works great for G. Not really. It works better for D or C, maybe, because you can go kind of work from the middle and go up and back. So if you're in D, so you have D, and then you can go back to open G, and then A will be on the 2nd fret. So this is a very basic Oahu model. I have another one here. This one's tuned to a D. And what happens is sometimes people will have multiple lap steels tuned to different tunings. That's what I do. I've got a couple of them. And that's why also sometimes in old pictures you'll see players that have multiple necks. sometimes they're called a console style guitar, and they'll have multiple necks, and they might have more strings. Like these are 6-string models, but you might see one with 8 strings. I suggest just getting a 6-string model. This one is tuned to D, so a little different. This is a little nicer. This is known as Mother of Toilet Seat, MOTS. So if you're ever looking online about lap steels and it says MOTS, that's code for Mother of Toilet Seat. Something you'll want to know about for sure in the lap steel world. Anyhow, welcome to the lap steel world. It's a lot of fun, and I hope that works out for you. Hope this helps. Bye-bye.